So hello friends, today we will discuss the heat transfer by natural convection. So we can read the aim. The aim for the trial is to determine the heat transfer coefficient during the natural convection. So prerequisites for this is you must be clear about the ideas of natural convection, how it happens, what is the buoyancy difference, how it is created. It is because of temperature difference, buoyancy difference is created, and because of buoyancy difference the fluid starts moving and natural convection starts. Okay, so this is the mode of heat transfer. You must be clear about its ideas. Okay, and you should be able to analyze this case, this particular case for this trial, that is the flow along the cylinder, because in the setup we have taken a cylinder and flow is going to take place along the cylinder. So air is parallel to the cylinder, so you should be able to analyze that case with mathematical analysis. Correlations must be known to you. Yes, so these are the prerequisites for today's trial. Now we'll go for the experimental setup. I have drawn the experimental setup diagram, which is very simplified form, that there is a cabinet, inside that cabinet there is a tube. You can observe this is a tube which is hollow. The tube is hollow, and at the center of the tube there is a heater placed. So this heater is going to produce the heat which will heat the surface of the tube, and that surface will give the heat to the air, and by that the air will get lifted because of natural convection. So the bottom of this cabinet is open and top of the cabinet is also open. So air is going to flow from bottom side to upper side. If I draw it simplified form here, there is a simple tube like this and there is a cabinet like this. So when this surface will get heated, it will give heat to the air, and because of that air will start lifting. So air will flow like this because of natural convection. So for that purpose the bottom is left open and the top is also left open. Okay, now to produce the heat, at the center there is a heater. So at the center there is a heater. So this is the simple arrangement. For the heater there is a power supply given, to which this dimmerstat and voltmeter ammeter is connected. To measure the temperatures, there are 6 thermocouples on the surface of the tube. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 thermocouples are mounted on the surface of the tube to measure the temperature, surface temperature, and one more extra thermocouple is left in the ambient to measure the atmospheric temperature, air temperature. So we'll get the surface temperature, ambient temperature, and voltage and current readings. Okay, so now you can observe that this is a control panel where voltmeter and ammeter are connected to the heater, which will be controlled by this dimmerstat. Temperature indicator will record all 7 temperatures, and heater switch is given to switch on and switch off the heater. Okay, so this is what the simple experimental setup is. Now we'll go to the experimental setup actually, and we'll see how it looks and how it is. Okay, so this is experimental setup for natural convection, where we can observe that this one is the control panel and there is a rod. This is a cylinder which is empty from inside and in which there is a heater mounted. So if you observe this cylinder, there is a heater inside this cylinder. Throughout the length of the cylinder there is a heater, and that heat is produced and that will come out through the wall of that particular cylinder. So there are 6 thermocouples mounted across the length, as we have seen in the diagram. At the back side of that you can observe that there are thermocouple wires. So these 6 thermocouples will measure the readings along the length of the rod. So T1 is here, T2, T3, T4, T5 and T6. So there are 6 thermocouples across the length of the tube, and one thermocouple is left in the atmosphere to measure the ambient temperature. So this is the one extra thermocouple which is left in the atmosphere to measure the ambient surrounding temperature. Actually this thermocouple should be inside the cabinet of that particular convection setup, but the length of that thermocouple provided by the manufacturer is not enough. So there will be error, slight error. Now we can observe that there is a closed cabinet, so that whatever the convection current will be produced, whatever the convection pattern will be produced along the length of that cylinder should not be disturbed by the outside air. Like if there is a fan is on, so outside air should not enter into that convection pattern. So that is why this cabinet is provided. This cabinet is very important. It is empty from the bottom side. The cabinet is empty from the bottom side so that air can enter from the bottom, and will, as the convection occurs, the heat transfer will take place and air will lift up and will go above. So it is open from the top also. So this is the control panel. We have seen on the board that there is a voltmeter and ammeter for the heater, which will be controlled by the dimmer stat. There is a temperature indicator which will show us these 7 temperatures. This is switch for that, and there is a heater switch, okay, which will switch on the heat. Now let us start the setup. For that I will switch on the heater. We can observe that voltage and current both are 0. Then I will switch on the temperature indicator. Then with the help of dimmer stat I will increase the voltage. We can set this voltage at any value in the range. So I will set it in the range of say 50 watt or something. So now it is 50 watt. You can observe. So we'll have to allow this setup for at least 1 hour to get the steady state. Okay. Now let us see the observation table. Here is the observation table for this natural convection. You just have to record the voltage and current given to the heater, and the 6 temperatures which are the surface temperature of the tube, and 7th one, that is ambient temperature, air temperature. So draw this table in your notebook, keep this page ready. Now we'll go to the setup and we'll take the readings. Okay, keep this page with you. Whatever readings I will dictate during the setup, you have to note down this. We have already set the steady state. The setup is running from 2 hours right now, so we can take the readings now. So let us go to the setup to take the readings. Now let us take the readings. We have set the voltage as 104 and current as 0.49. So note down in your observation table that we have drawn voltage as 104 and current as 0.49. Then run down the temperature T1 86.6, temperature T2 71.7, temperature T3 61.6, T4 50.8, T5 48.5, T6 47.5 and T7 ambient 34.6. So these are the temperatures for natural convection. Now we'll go for the calculations. Now let us go for calculations. The first part of the calculation is to obtain the theoretical heat transfer coefficient. That is simplest way to find out the heat transfer coefficient. So surface area of the tube can be obtained by pi d is the perimeter multiplied by length, that is the surface area of the tube. So if you see, this is a tube, so this is your diameter and this is your length. So pi d into L is the surface area, so that can be obtained as meter square. Then we know that what is the heat is supplied to the heater, that is voltage into current, that is around 51 watt. Then we have to find out the surface temperature. So we have mounted 6 thermocouples on the surface, 1 2 3 4 5 6. So T1 to T6 divided by 6 gives you the average surface temperature. So we have obtained the surface temperature. We know the ambient temperature, so heat is going like this. So Ts to T infinity. So T infinity is T7, that is 34.6. Here is the 34.6. We have recorded these readings. Okay. Now to find out the heat transfer coefficient, we can use the simple convection formula, that is Newton's law of cooling, which gives us to rate of heat transfer is nothing but H into surface area into delta T. So we know every value except H theoretical. So put all values and you will get H theoretical as 31.33 watt per meter square Kelvin. This is the one way which we have actually obtained. So this is actually not theoretical, this is actual heat transfer coefficient. This is we have got actually. Now with the help of correlations we can obtain the theoretical heat transfer coefficient also. So let us go for correlations now. Now let us determine the heat transfer coefficient with the help of empirical correlations. To do so, we have to find out the mean fluid temperature. So that is the average of surface temperature and fluid temperature. Surface temperature and fluid temperature, its average is nothing but mean fluid temperature. So that comes to be 47.86 degrees Celsius. In Kelvin plus 273, it becomes 320.86 Kelvin. So coefficient of volumetric expansion can be obtained as 1 upon TMF. Carefully putting this value in Kelvin, we get 0.00312 Kelvin inverse, that is coefficient of volumetric expansion beta. Then we have to find out the properties of air. So for that purpose we'll use 47.86 as the temperature. From the table from the data book, we get these values of the properties of the air, that is density, kinematic viscosity, Prandtl number, coefficient Cp, conductivity of the air, then dynamic viscosity. So using these all properties, we know the Grashof number. The formula for the Grashof number is G beta delta T Lc cube upon nu square. Now characteristic length in this case is L. The flow is parallel to the cylinder. Flow is parallel to the cylinder. That is why the length of the cylinder will become characteristic length. So here is the kinematic viscosity. Putting all this value, you will get that Grashof number is this value. Multiply Grashof number and Prandtl number, you will get this value. We find out that it is greater than 1 into 10 raised to 8. So that from this value you can select the correlation from the data book, and using that correlation we can make the remaining calculations for theoretical heat transfer coefficient. So we have got Grashof number and Prandtl number product as this value, which is greater than 1 into 10 raised to 8. So with this information from the data book, we can get the correlation for this particular case. What is the case? The flow is parallel to the cylinder. There is a cylinder and the flow is parallel to the cylinder. For this case, for this value of GRPR product, we get this relation, correlation. This is correlation. We can get this from the heat transfer data book, and from there if you put this value of GRPR here, you will get Nusselt number as 101.0818. Once we get the Nusselt number, which is a dimensionless number, you can find out with this formula, we can find out heat transfer coefficient putting the value of characteristic length as the length of the tube, because in this case characteristic length is the length of tube. So put this value, conductivity of the air, and you will get the theoretical heat transfer coefficient, which comes to be 4.658 watt per meter square Kelvin. With the Newton's law of cooling, we have got this actual heat transfer coefficient, which was 31.33 watt per meter square Kelvin. So there is a difference between this theoretical analysis and the actual analysis, but the point of notice is that the value of heat transfer coefficient is much less than the corresponding values for the forced convection environment. So because natural convection environment depends on the temperature difference and buoyancy difference, the heat transfer rate is less than the forced convection environment. So when we will go for the forced convection setup, there will find the values much greater than these values. Okay, so these are the values for the heat transfer coefficient in natural convection environment. So that is what the today's trial was. Thank you very much.